If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna...
Good morning, Patriots, and welcome to the Patriots Prayer Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Smith, and today we have a reoccurring guest and someone who was out there fighting on the side of Israel, like most of us. But, you know, they don't get to shine. It seems as though the press is, you know, they want to cover all of the Hamas things. They want to play this middle of the road, like they're not taking a side. And it's very offensive to me. I can only imagine how it is for the millions of Jews that are in America every day that are seeing these institutions, the government to a large point, elected officials, all take the side of people who would say they want to eradicate an entire race from the face of the earth, and it's being overlooked, and it's being undersold, it's being downplayed, and it's pure racism. It's pure racism. So, Alexandra, let's bring you up here. How have you been? How have things gone since the last time we spoke?
It's been good. I mean, as you know, we had October 7th, which was a tragedy for everyone, Jewish, non-Jewish, people of faith. Mm-hmm. And we lost 1,400 innocent Israelis. They were burned. They were they were raped. They were tortured. They were dismembered. Dismantled. I mean, every horrific thing that could ever happen to a person happened. Yeah. And the Hamas militants, they were told to have no mercy, especially on women and children, and just kill anybody, regardless of faith, regardless of whatever, just go in there and knock them all out. And that's what happened. And it's been very devastating for Israel. It's been very devastating for Jewish people and people of faith. Yeah. But you know, I can give you an update of Israel. I mean, they're beating the crap out of them. Their mission is to annihilate the enemy once and for all. They're going to wipe out Hamas. And if
I
they
have
have to
said
wipe
it.
out Hezbollah, they will too.
I said it a million times in the past, not just because of this, you know, incident right now, but I've said that the United States needs to get the hell out of Israel's way on multiple occasions when it comes to Iran and the rhetoric, when it comes to dealing with the Palestinians in general. How would America react if the Mexicans were shooting rocket launchers, sending bombs across our bottom border? And I would like to think that we would act in kind. And I'd like to think that we would do anything necessary to make sure that doesn't happen ever again, like ever. And that is the steps that I feel as though BB is taking. And I think that he's standing right in front of this thing, and he's like, I'm not stopping. And I'm not going to stop until every last one of these people who did this or whoever would do this, they're all gone. And I'm not stopping. And steadfast, you know, no matter the pressure from the community at large, and the global community is by and large, they're not friends of Israel. That court has ruled several times that Israel has committed war crimes against just really, really outrageous things. It seems like Israel has to put up with on. You know, I mean, for what, 3,000 years, the most, you know, if anybody ever has a story of we've been through hell and back, it's the Jewish people.
Yeah.
It's the Jewish people. And you would think by now, it's 2023, you'd think we'd have this worked out. you know, Goldie Meyer said, when they love their children more than this, or what was the quote? I'm sure you've heard it.
I've heard. I don't remember it verbatim.
When they love their children more than they hate the Jews, or something to that effect, that's when there will be peace.
Right.
I don't differentiate, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just raw emotion. I think it. I say it. It gets me in trouble all the time. But I don't differentiate that much from the Palestinian people and Hamas. Meaning, like, I don't see them as two separate entities. I think that a lot of people are trying to phrase things in such a way to make people see that there's some type of contrast between the two. when I don't see the contrast, there were Palestinian people that were spitting on that young lady that was raped and murdered and drugged through the streets. There were Palestinian people cheering, after 9/11. Those were Palestinians. Those weren't Hamas. Those weren't, you know what I mean? So when people try to talk about the two as if they're mutually exclusive, it doesn't hold water for me at all.
Well, what they're trying to say is there's like an Islamophobia. And I guess there's been reports here in America that a lot of Muslims have been attacked as well, to October 7th.
Really?
Yeah. But there's a difference between, the Muslims that are here in this country that are starting the pro-Hamas rallies than, let's say, the Arab Israelis that are in Israel. So the Arab Israelis, they love Israel. They love that they're free.
Very much.
They were heavily vetted to become Israeli citizens, and they're working with Israel. And the Palestinians, and I think I said this on your last show, the majority of them voted for Hamas. They had the opportunity to either vote for Fatah, which is under Mahmoud Abbas, or vote for Hamas. And the majority of the Palestinian people voted for Hamas. And the argument is, well, they didn't know what Hamas would do. They thought Hamas would help the country. No, everybody knows that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Everybody knows that the Palestinian children know that since the day they're born. A lot of and Netanyahu's proves this. When the Palestinian kids are young, they are taught when they are young to kill anyone that isn't like them, to strap a bomb on yourself and blow up a bunch of people, and you will be considered a martyr. Your family will get money. All these Hamas militants were told, the more Jews that you kill, the more money you'll get. You'll get an apartment here. You'll get an apartment there. I mean, come on. They know what they're doing.
Well, I remember right after the October 7th deal took place, there was a young man, Hamas soldier. There was a phone call, I believe, that was talked about in many circles and was reported on multiple news outlets, where he phoned home and wanted to talk to his mom and bragged over this phone call that he had killed 10 Jews, and he was extremely happy. That's what people don't understand. We're staring at the face of pure evil, because they have no conscience. They don't even see the things they're doing as wrong.
And they don't have a religion. They don't have religion.
And obviously they can't. Or at least I can't believe that they can't, because any religion, I don't care which one it is, under any label, any religion that would teach you to celebrate rape as an act of war, or murder of infants and young people and old people indiscriminately, who are not in a military or not any of that. Any religion that would say that is okay because the ends justifies the means tells you right from that very fact that is a godless religion. There's absolutely no way that you can correlate that to peace, love, forgiveness, anything good. Period. Zero. There is zero good in that. I'm going to have a guest on here right after the Christmas holiday, Tommy Robinson, out of the UK. And you talk about a guy who has a bone to pick with God. His Piers Morgan interview was just fire. And he talked about exactly what you just talked about. The fact that these people are godless. They're godless. They don't see humans when they look at the Jewish people, which is the reason for the fact that they're never coming to the table. I just recently learned, and I've learned a lot, since the October 7th took place, but I've learned that they turned down statehood 7 times.
Yep.
7 times. 7 times it was offered, 7 different occasions, and they turned it down, because it would have been an agreement with the Jewish people, with the state of Israel. And they, regardless, refused to have any agreement or come to the table. But
that's correct.
Everybody's yelling.
Have a 2-state solution. Bibi Netanyahu will never ever have a 2-state solution, especially with terrorists. You can't negotiate with terrorists, not at all.
But exactly right. You can't. There's no because there is no such thing as a talk with a terrorist that doesn't end in you exacerbating the issue or condoning or enabling their existence. Because once you acknowledge it, they're going to grow. People are going to be attracted to the movement. And if you don't indiscriminately put a halt, this is bad and it won't be tolerated, the movement is going to grow. Because if for some reason, anyone who's painted in the media as a victim, and I really don't understand how Hamas and the Palestinian people became the victim in this scenario. I really don't understand how that got turned around. But we have allowed in our universities this disease of anti-Semitism to metastasize, and they're allowing for pro-Hamas rallies, and it's like an anti-Semite gang rally in the streets of New York and LA and you name it. I don't understand why the local governments are playing the game of giving out permits to even allow this type of rhetoric in the streets, calling for the destruction of an entire race of people. Why would you permit that? I mean, why aren't people in higher positions taking stand and just, this is it. I'm done playing, done talking, done having congressional, but National Guard time. I mean, when you sympathize with a terrorist, you're a terrorist. And because you show no mercy, you should receive no mercy.
It's a money game. It's a money game. A lot of these universities are getting funded by Iran, by Hamas, by the PLO, by Hezbollah,
and by China.
Go against
who wants to enable them all?
Right. So if they go against them, if they combat them, then they're going to lose all their money. And then what will happen is the pro-Hamas groups will go against the deans, will go against the presidents. So you'll get pro-Hamas protesters in front of the dean's house or the president's house. So these people are afraid.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. In a country where Americans are allowed to be American, if you understand what I mean, you just do. We would have people on the other side of that issue that would make them wish to God they would never do something. Because I mean, those are the people that I grew up around. Those were the guys coming out of the Korean War and the Vietnam War, and there's a lot of us on the right who view Israel as our country, and we just do. And I don't see a separation for myself, and I speak for me. I don't see a separation, patriotically from the United States and Israel. I just don't. And a lot of people, and it may be because of my religious upbringing as a Christian and that sort of thing, but I feel my roots and that sort of thing, that's where they are. And as such, I want to defend this place to my last breath, the same way that I would want to defend the United States. And I just see anything other than that absolutely traitorous. It is an act of betrayal. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are betraying the values that this country was built on. I when I see Jewish members of Congress not take the kind of real stand, like there were some that didn't even, obviously now they want the optics. I want to be seen as pro-Israel because elections are coming or whatever. So you got the guys who already went through their election on the Democratic side of the ticket. They already went through their election. Now they can say whatever they want because the American people have a very short political memory. And so right now you got the guys coming up for election, the other half. So those guys are all trying to be pro-Israel because their election's coming up. And it's optics. Half the party stands against them while half the party is moving forward. Joe Biden is giving relief money to Hamas. And I said Hamas because who else would you send the $100 million to? Are you telling me that there's an entity, a power in Gaza that is greater than Hamas that can direct where this money is from and keep Hamas at bay from getting to it? And if so, who is that? And why did you understand where I'm coming from? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. They're sitting on the fence, and it's dangerous to not just come down with a hammer immediately and put an end to this movement.
I agree.
It's
And,
nuts
and
to
all
me.
the members of the squad need to be removed from office. They should
Absolutely.
actually be tried for treason, to be honest with you, specifically Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib for
Yeah.
inciting violence at the Capitol. And she's funded by CARE. CARE
Mm.
is formed and funded by Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and the Muslim Brotherhood. And any elected official, regardless of party, that stands with terrorist organizations should be removed. Should be removed from
Yeah, it's a
office and be
security
tried
threat.
for treason.
She's a security threat. Do you know she was receiving intelligence briefings about October 7th? Uh,
Yeah.
why in the world would you give things to a woman who has befriended members of the PLO? Like,
Yeah,
we know that she
exactly.
has. They're standing there as her bodyguards. So if you look up
Yep.
these guys, like the one who went after Marjorie Taylor Greene on the steps of Congress and kind of started, hurling insults and whatnot at her. Somebody took the time to go find out who this guy was and who he was connected to, and led right to Rashida Tlaib's doorstep. She
Yeah, I'm
is
actually. Yeah,
a
I was gonna
threat,
say I'm
I
actually
believe.
looking up. You keep talking, but I'm looking at my notebook because I wrote down exactly the people that fund Rashida Tlaib, and it's all Hamas leaders. It's all people that are involved with the terrorist organization. Um, Hold on. Oh, here it is. It's coming. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Hamas-linked activist, whom Rashida Tlaib employed to fundraise for her 2018 election campaign. Let's see. In 2015, Rashida Tlaib founded the Black for Palestine, anti-Israel, and protector hate group. This guy named Rafiq Jaber, who hosted a Tlaib fundraiser, he has testified that he has helped distribute Hamas propaganda in America, and he's a co-founder of CARE. So he's with
Wow.
Rashida Tlaib. And this is all on the Canary Mission. So if you go on canarymission.org, they have all these claims and all these links to the people that have funded Rashida Tlaib. And that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene filed to censure Rashida Tlaib because of her inciting violence at the Capitol, but also for the people that have funded her campaign. So this is some pretty dangerous stuff.
It is.
Yeah, this is some pretty dangerous stuff. But yeah, I mean, Rashida Tlaib has co-founders of CARE that fund her campaign and produce fundraisers for her. Why is she a congresswoman? This is insane.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the reason why is because America, I had a guest on the other day. They call him the native patriot. Name is Maurice. He's a great guy. And he said something to me in the terms of like, Americans are over sympathetic to their own detriment. And I'm like, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. We have allowed some false sense of empathy to override our good sense and allow and force us into corners where we make very bad decisions, where we're not being picky enough for the people that are coming into the country. We're not considering our own because we're too afraid to look bigotous. It's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing when you're afraid to tell the truth for fear that somebody else will misinterpret your good intentions and call you some sort of a racist or a bigot or something like that, xenophobe. They do it in all forms, but it's only done for one reason: to make you stop what you're doing, to make you choose a different way, and all the while weakening the country to the point that it's at right now. You would have never told me 20 years ago that our country would be in the condition that it's in right now, and it didn't take much time to get here. It didn't take much time at all for our values, the ones that we grew up, the pride. I mean, just go back to 9/11. Don't even have to go back that far. 9/11, 2001, the pride that Americans had the next day. I didn't care what color you were, where you were from, none of that. If you loved America, that was it. That was absolutely it. And Americans were together. Yep. Now look at us. Well, it's nuts. Good.
I was going to say, the ironic thing is, when October 7th happened, Israelis, Christians, and Arab Muslims, they all, Arab Israelis, we all came together in Israel. We all came together. And you would think that the same thing would happen here in America, because there was 31 Americans that were murdered in
That's right.
Israel. And there's many American hostages that are still in Israel, that the IDF and Bibi Netanyahu has sworn that not only will they annihilate the enemy, but their mission is to bring hostages back. So why aren't we in America united like they are in Israel? Because this was Israel's 9/11, but there's Americans involved over there. We should all be coming together. But what's happening is, because we have such a weak administration, that these pro-Hamas rallies can happen here. These pro-Hamas people can hurt Jewish people or hurt people of faith, and it's okay here because we have such a weak administration. And I hate to say it, it was pre-planned, because George Soros and others knew that once that attack happened, once the Israelis were murdered, that Israel, the IDF, had no choice but to go and defend their people and to seek vengeance, because 1,400 innocent people died. It's the most since the Holocaust. So George Soros knew that the Israelis were going to go and defend their people, and the IDF is one of the strongest militaries, armies, navy in the world. So George Soros is like, well, okay, Israel, they're gonna take care of their own. They will kill the enemy, but what havoc can we cause? So their idea was, let's cause the havoc here in America because we have such a weak administration, which is what George Soros created. He created this weak administration.
He's not just that. I mean, he funds DAs across the country to specifically not do their jobs. I mean, we all see the signs of the Marxist takeover within the country, and the people that we have in places that could stop it are compromised. I mean, just look at the legal cases against them and what we know. Now, let's not even go as far as convicting them for the things that are being asked, but the things that we absolutely know. We have a president who has a son who has got a drug problem. I mean, it's a fact. And so what does he do? There's cocaine found at the White House. There are topless trans parties on the White House lawn. As a president, you gave out crack pipes. Like, are you kidding me? This is something that happened in your family, but you want to enable other people to do it. Just the things that this guy has done as a president are things that I never thought in a million years.
Yeah, and they found classified documents, in his when he was a senator and when he was a vice president.
Right, the PRA doesn't cover him. The PRA does not cover him. He did something illegal. As a matter of fact, there's a phone call out there where he's calling to talk to Hunter, and it's a leaked phone call. And he says to Hunter, he says, they're not going to get off my ass about these documents. I know where there's about 5 more boxes of these documents. I need you to he says, I need you to use the red phone and call Michelle and Barack and tell them Operation Crash and Burn is a go. Like, wow. So obviously you don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand that is the signal for them to destroy the documents before they find them and he gets in trouble. And this is a leaked phone call that's out there. There are other ones between him and Poroshenko that talk about closing the Privat bank down before Trump realizes what's going on. And I mean, just amazing phone calls that you wouldn't believe that's out there. And meanwhile, the press, the mockingbird media, as we refer to them, continually says there's no evidence of the guy's guilt. The $30 million moved to the coffers of the Bidens, so say the IRS, and they've been proven right time and time again. For what, though? I mean, he doesn't sell anything. He doesn't own any businesses. He's all the businesses he were involved in, like the CEFC and the stuff that was going on in Romania. He got 16 of 17 payments while he was still as vice president back, from Romania, and only one that came after he came out of office. These are things we know. This is a fact.
Yeah.
So when they say like there's no evidence, you got to understand that every one of these guys, China, Romania, Ukraine, anyone else, Russia themselves paid the Bidens money, $3.5 billion from the mayor of Moscow's wife that went into the coffers of the Bidens. And Trump confronted him on stage with this information, and he denied it. And it came out that Trump was exactly right. And it's when you got to understand that I think the angle that most people don't think about this from is that the people who paid him know why they paid him. They obviously paid him. So this puts your president in a very vicarious position to not be able to make the decisions necessary to take care of the country in the way that it should be taken care of. We are obviously not first priority when all of these foreign adversarial countries have information, or they may have information that your president is corrupt. And
also he gave billions of dollars to Iran, which is one of the reasons why October 7th happened.
$6 billion.
Yeah. Well, actually, the former DNI director, John Radcliffe, said it was 60 billion. 60. Not 60.
The same John Radcliffe, the one that didn't like Trump and
no, he likes Trump. No, John Radcliffe liked Trump. He worked with him.
Radcliffe?
Yeah, John Radcliffe from Texas. No, he liked Trump.
Oh, I was getting him. I was getting him. The one that was only there a few weeks after John.
John Kelly,
the guy with the huge mustache. I forget his name.
Oh, the guy with the huge mustache. I don't know.
They can only work for the Trump administration for like a month or two, and he was a giant warmonger. His name will come to me, but yeah, I have a question for you because
John Radcliffe and him were close.
I have a question for you
because Rick Grinnell. So Rick Grinnell was the ambassador to Germany, and then he became the acting DNI director. And then John Radcliffe came in and took over for Rick Grinnell. And then John Radcliffe was the DNI director for a period of time until Trump left the White House.
Okay.
But him and John Radcliffe are right. Yeah, John Radcliffe is an attorney from Texas. He's tough.
No, this guy I'm talking about was a national security advisor. All white hair.
Oh my God. Well, first it was Michael Flynn, and then after Michael Flynn was the general. Oh my God! But he didn't have a mustache; he was bald.
You're talking about Milley. You're talking about Milley.
No, not Milley. I can't remember his name. It was MacArthur, McAllister. Like it's his face is in my purview right now.
All of these things are like people that I know very well. Until on the spot right now, I need to know. John, I'll look it up while we're talking. But I do have a question for you. And John Bolton, there it is.
Oh, Bolton, that guy. Yeah.
John Bolton. He only worked there for like a half a second, and they made him out like he was there and knew things about Trump and all this. Yeah, total BS.
Oh my God, he's a Bush guy and a Karl Rove guy, and all these people that turned on Trump, and actually people that worked for Melania Trump and turned on them, like Stephanie Grisham, who I was very shocked because she worked directly with Melania Trump. And this woman, Elisa Farah, who's on The View now, who worked for Trump. Nobody knew who Elisa Farah was until she worked for Trump. All these people that turned on President Trump, nobody's going to know who they are in 5 or 10 years. I mean, they're nothing, to be honest with you.
What most people don't know is that those people that did those things to Trump, are talking about Hillary Clinton. Trump sued and won. Media doesn't talk about it. Absolute blackout on the fact that Trump sued Hillary Clinton and won.
Yeah.
And then he sued what's the name? The Cohen guy. Michael Cohen, the lawyer.
Cohen. Yeah.
The one that's testifying. He sued him and won.
Yeah, Michael Cohen's
these guys that all think they have stuff about Trump or against Trump, like they just turned on him on a dime. That's not what happened. And Michael Cohen is only doing what is part of his plea agreement to do. If Michael Cohen does not, if he's not a good little puppet, what happened to him is what happened to Enrique of the Proud Boys. The guy Enrique of the Proud Boys would not give them, it wouldn't make a bad statement about Trump.
Yeah. But look at Michael Avenatti. Remember the Michael Levine, we called him or Tucker Carlson called him the porn attorney because he was defending us.
Oh yeah,
Stormy
yeah, yeah,
Daniels.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, he
Stormy
was
Daniels.
like,
Yeah, and then
oh yeah, he was big on
he tried to
TV,
extort
and
Nike.
he's like, yeah, he's like, we're getting Trump, and then he had the issue with Nike, and he's currently in jail. So anyone who turns on Trump, anyone who goes against Trump, anyone who lies about Trump, oh, it's doomsday for them. Their careers are over. They end up in jail. Like Letitia James, her career is going to be over very soon. And then
Letitia James doing some horrendous things right now, Alexander. I don't know if you know about this, but there's two bills, one in California and one in New York. The one in New York is called NY 213, and it was done by the Department of Health, and they tried to make it law, but the Department of Health can't make law. So what it is they can actually, according to this law, this bill, which Letitia James and Holcomb fought for, they can come and quarantine you at your home, take you out of your home, put you in a facility of their choosing without a positive test of any kind for any indiscriminate amount of time. For there's no criteria you have to meet in order for them to not say or to say take him or her. So this is ripe for abuse, and they appealed it and they won, and then Letitia James took it to another court and appealed it again, and they reinstated the law, and it's law right now. And Assembly Bill 665 is even worse than this. So Assembly Bill 665.
Have you noticed the ever-alarming 400,000 cell towers that have gone up in the United States alone? How about the electronics that reside in every room of our homes and Wi-Fi that runs 24/7? 5G cell phones are carried in our pockets hours on end. Common complaints are ringing in the ear: sleep deprivation, palpitations, headaches, memory loss, and so much more. Redemption Shield is on the cutting edge of offering products that protect your family from electromagnetic and microwave radiation. From Faraday bags, earthing bed sheets, Wi-Fi router covers, hats, scarves, bed sanctuaries, this will not be going away anytime soon. We will continue to see only faster speeds, 6G, 7G, and more exposure to EMF than any time in our history. Start protecting yourself now. Go to redemptionshield.com and get grounded and shielded today. Use code PATRIOT and save 10%.
It's disgusting. Right.
Amazing.
I was going to say, Hochul just pushed a reparations bill too.
They all do that for optics, and then when it comes right down to it, they don't want to do it. Look what happened with Dingbat over in California, Newsom. He pushed it, created an entire panel, and then they came at him with some crazy number, and immediately it was like, it's not about the money. Look, I don't believe in reparations because I don't believe that's going to heal any generational problem. I don't think that holding one person back to push another one, that all it does is create a new race of victims.
Well, also that causes segregation, that causes discrimination,
but they're doing that now. Right, they're doing that now, right now.
The average Black person doesn't want to be like, how do I say it? Like, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of the word, singled out. They don't want to be singled out, and the average American doesn't support, what she's trying to do. I mean, if she's pushing for a reparations bill, then how come, the Jewish people don't have reparations for the Holocaust? They don't.
Or, I mean, maybe we should, maybe my people should sue the monarch and even though my dad is Native American, and here's the thing, my dad was Native. If I showed you a picture of my dad super big Native guy, long hair, the whole I grew up around the dream catchers, all the Native everything. I was never seen that way because my mom was German and Irish, so I had the blonde hair and the blue eyes, and my dad's this big Native guy. Well, at a very young age, I started noticing that there were people around me and my family and that sort of thing that would always use the Native card. It's like,
Right.
you know, they want to drop the native card, and they want to, if you're
Mhm.
applying for a loan, for a house, for schooling, for whatever it is, you know, and they'll quickly tell you, make sure you put your native on there. Make sure. I can't do it.
But
I
I hate to
can't do
say
it.
it, nowadays you have to, because the jobs are very stagnant right now. And a lot of my friends, they're putting that they're Black, that they're Native American, that they're Hispanic, just to get an interview now, just to get an interview.
Hey, what's
And
up with
it's
this
very
lady in New
sad. You
York?
can't even put that you're white anymore. They won't even look at you.
You don't want to. We're not allowed to have heritage. White folks are not allowed to be. Matter of fact, the word white folks is a bad word.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, the reason that there's such hatred against Jews is that a lot of people equate Jewish people as white people. So that's why there's such a hatred for us right now. It's really sad.
You know what? I grew up my whole life in Baltimore, and growing up as a kid, I had friends, Jewish. I never saw a difference. Like, I didn't understand. It wasn't until I got much older, till I started trying. You know, I even asked the question, like, why is this a thing? Like, they're white folks. I don't get what the difference is. And, you know, then culturally I was introduced a little, you know, I started understanding the culture a little more, and I understood that it was a little different than ours. However, there was nothing about it that I saw that was hateful. It was a lot of family oriented things. I got a friend right now, Laron, great guy, not married, none of that. And he lives on the other side of town, and his mom will drive his dinner by to his house at night. Every night, mom pulls up with dinner for him, and he's like, well, she likes doing it. He's like, I'm not married, so she feels like she has to feed me until I'm married. So we called it, you know, I jokingly said to him, I said, well, here's Juber Eats at the every day. Every day. Mom was a just lovable woman. And in America, the one thing that we lack, that I absolutely, you know, I'm extremely envious of, and from many other cultures, is that family, that heritage, that is just deep rooted. And there's something just really, and it keeps families together. Out here in this country, yes, we may be free, and there may be a lot of pluses, but there's a lot of minuses too. We don't have that kind of heritage. We don't, unless we create it, because the world around us tries to tear that down.
Yeah,
as soon as you walk out the front door, it's educated out of you. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And it happened over mass immigration.
Yeah, that's true. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things that's lacking, and majority of people can agree on this, is we're missing our Judeo-Christian values. We really are.
Yeah.
We're missing Judeo-Christian values, and we really need to go back to that. And that has to do with family, but that has to do with our Constitution. That has to do with, you know.
But you have to acknowledge there's a God for that. And
yeah,
I tell people all the time, I said, whether or not you believe in God, you better be happy somebody did. Because if they didn't, you would be getting your rights from a man, and that man can change his mind, and that man can be different tomorrow than he is today, where God is constant.
Go ahead.
And so when we get our rights from our maker, you know, there's just so much in that just to unpack. But the what it is there are just some things that are right and wrong universally that go beyond, you know, even I would think even having to tell someone, hey, that is wrong, don't do that. It's just innate. There's just truth that is absolute. But what they want to do is tell us that there are no truths that are absolute.
Exactly.
That's your truth, and this is my truth.
Right. And God works in mysterious ways. And, you know, there was a big story. There was a guy, he worked for the Turkish parliamentary, and he goes in, you know, in front of the whole parliament, and people are talking and they're chit-chatting, and he's giving, a speech about Israel. And at the very end of the speech, he says, may Allah come and annihilate and kill all the Jews. And then he literally has a heart attack right then and there, and they scoop him in the hospital, and he literally dies 2 days later from a heart attack. So people
did that just happen?
That just happened. That was recent. That just happened.
I just saw that video on Twitter. I think.
Yep. So he was 52 years old. So people say, was that Allah that took him and made him a martyr, or was that Hashem that took him? Is Hashem Allah? You know, so there's all these different interpretations of what could have happened. I believe, and a lot of Jews believe, that it was Hashem that took him, because for him to talk so ill about the Jews, and then all of a sudden he has a heart attack and he dies. To me, I feel that was Hashem that took him. But
people have to realize that they're after Jews, and I think a lot of that, obviously, I believe all of it, 100% of it. That's what it is. This whole beef that we're seeing in the world today is exactly the one that God spoke about when he said that I'm going to put enmity between you. And he did. And that was that Jacob and Esau. And this is where all that comes from. This is where it all stems from. Yeah. But you can look at the tenets of Christianity, Orthodox Judaism, Buddhism. You can examine every one of them for what they are. And if you look at the fruits of them, you can see whether or not something is good or if it is bad. And the only religion on the face of the earth, on the whole face of the earth, that condones, enables, and puts gas on the fire of situations like this is Islam. There's only one. There's only one that says everyone who doesn't believe what you believe has to die. Only one.
It's in the Quran.
Yeah, it literally is written in their holy text. So when people tell me that is a religion of peace, no, it's a religion of ultimate peace. Once you've killed everyone who doesn't believe what you believe, even though none of you guys agree on which version of it is the correct version.
But I will tell you something. So when the Hamas militants were interrogated by the Israelis, they did say, in our religion, like when we go to pray in the mosque, it does tell us to have mercy on women and children. But the Hamas militants, or the heads of Hamas, at the day of the attack, they said there's no religion involvement today. Today, religion doesn't exist. There's no mercy. You go in there and you kill them and you rape them and you murder them and you do whatever you can. So it's very interesting that the religion does say to have mercy on women and children, but Hamas terrorists, they are anti-religion, no religion. You don't have mercy. You just kill people that are not like you. That's very interesting.
And so my thing is that we defend the right for everyone in this country to worship as they see fit, whatever God it is they want to worship. And so I think that a lot of this stuff is done in the name of religion, because this way their terrible ways are protected. So it becomes an excuse or a force field as a way to protect themselves to continue to do these horrible things. When you look at the guys running down the New York streets or Los Angeles or wherever else with these flags, these Palestinian flags, they don't realize like that it probably wouldn't matter as much if you would have done that before, or if that's what you would have been on, or you know what I mean. But to do it in light of what just happened on October the 7th tells me where your heart is, regardless of what you do.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. It's disgusting. But again, these people are getting paid. They are paid by terrorists to do this. They're paid by George Soros to do this. These students, these pro-Hamas students, their parents were either former Hamas, former Hezbollah, former Taliban. They come into our country, they infiltrate. A lot of these students are on a visa. A lot of them they were not born in America, or if they were born in America, they have already been indoctrinated by their parents that were Hamas militants or Hezbollah militants, and they were told to, number one, kill Jews, but number two, kill anyone that isn't like them. Kill anyone that is of a different religion than you. Kill anyone that isn't like you. And that's what people need to understand. And I knew that going to very liberal colleges. I was a graduate of the University of Florida. That's a very liberal college. But I also went to Harvard University. I took classes there. I met Ben Shapiro there at his first year at Harvard Law. So he and I saw the beginning of the anti-Semitism at Harvard. And then after that, later I went to Florida, and then I got a master's at NYU. So at NYU, I really saw
very liberal
anti-Semitism. I mean, NYU, BDS was on the rise. Israel Apartheid Week Sheikh was there, and I'm just like, what is going on here? And I saw, Muslim women completely covered. Like, I felt like I was in the Gaza Strip. They were completely covered with just their eyes showing. And I was like, oh my God. And a lot of us Jewish students were in fear of that, because in Israel, a lot of those women, they have explosives underneath their garments.
Or they carry knives and
they carry
things
knives
like
or whatever. We were very scared. And, I'm wearing my Jewish star. I got friends wearing kippas. And, we're nervous. We're very nervous. And there was no protection on NYU campus at that time. And now, whatever years later, I'm not going to say how old I am, but but it's there, it's worse. And Harvard University, since Dr. Gay has been the president, she's been the president since July 2023, the anti-Semitism has skyrocketed like 400%. I remember the Anti-Defamation League said 400%. And then after October 7th, it's escalated even more. The fact that Dr. Gay is still
the ADL has failed people.
Harvard is disgusting. Huh?
The ADL has failed us.
I agree with you on that as well.
And the ACLU is also failed us.
I agree with you on that as well. And I work with
seems
other
like
organizations that will confirm that as well.
They really, I mean, it seems like all of the folks, like the masks have come off, both figuratively and literally and figuratively. The masks are coming off, and I just hope that this time in history, the things that we're all witnessing, the things that we're all seeing, that people don't forget that. Don't forget that these people feel absolutely comfortable because of the way that we've made them feel comfortable. So they're saying the quiet part out loud because they think that they've established a new norm where this is okay and it's not going to be punished. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that that is the new norm. I don't believe that. But people do realize that though they're being allowed to say that, and you're not being allowed to stop them from saying that, because they will enforce the law against you if you should try. So they selectively do that. But I believe, just like they believe.
Well, that's why I'm going to go into the rallies a little bit. So that's why I've been doing these rallies and these events, because 84% of Americans support Israel. They do. It's this silent minority that is becoming the majority. So, one of the reasons why, I got involved doing events and doing rallies for Israel is I have a lot of family and friends, and I have people that are currently serving in the IDF. They message me, Alexandra, we're tired of seeing these pro-Hamas rallies. We're tired of seeing these pro-Hamas events.
They're not alone.
Americans doing for us? We want to see Americans supporting Israel. We want to see Americans countering what these pro-Hamas people are doing. So I took initiative with other people to form these rallies and to form these events in support of Israel. And I send Israel all my friends in Israel, I send them every single event, every single video we do, every single rally that we do, so they see that we are with them. And it's interesting because they had a huge 300,000 person support for Israel rally in DC, which was very, very good.
Yeah, I've seen that. Very little coverage, though.
Right, but the oxymoron is that, okay, so Chuck Schumer was there was Hakeem Jeffries, Speaker Johnson, they had bipartisan support, and then later that day they were supposed to vote in the Senate on foreign aid for Israel, and guess what? Shut down. Chuck Schumer voted no after he just came out and said, "I support Israel."
They didn't want to support the Iron Dome.
Right.
They didn't want to spend the security money.
Right. That's not what my events and rallies are. My events and rallies are, I'm supporting Israel. I'm with Israel. And guess what? I'm going to push legislation to make sure that we get aid for Israel. I'm going to push legislation to make sure that we have full Holocaust and Israel education in schools. That's what I'm doing. And that's what should be done. That is what should be done.
And that's what we had.
Yeah. I mean,
there were nobody in my circles growing up or in school that the idea that the Holocaust wasn't real, or that was never discussed even as a theory. That was never mainstream. This is what's happening. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just going to put it out there. When Obama was president, he went on this mission of enabling the Muslim countries, and he withheld aid from Israel. He paid ransom money to Iran on more than one occasion. He brought them to the table with their nuclear ability, and started this whole treaty with them to allow them, which they never honored the treaty anyway. They continue to enrich uranium well beyond what the treaty said that they should have. Israel took the problem into their own hands and went over and killed one of the main nuclear scientists. And in a separate attempt, they went over and they bombed the facility that they were doing the work in. And in the facility, they weren't even hiding it. I remember the film coming out showing them doing it, and they had written something on the facility they were doing the nuclear work in, and it literally, I guess, it translated out to like "death to Israel" or something. And so it was a great target. It was like hideout with neon lights pointing here. I couldn't believe how that was just stupid. But
see,
the thing is that all of those people are now being pushed around the world. Ireland is going to be outnumbered by immigrants within 5 years, and we're talking about Muslim immigrants. Yep. It's happening here in large numbers all throughout the United States.
Yep.
And
because we have an open border. We have an open border. And
look at UK.
Yeah.
Look at the UK.
But here in the United States, we have here in the United States, as you know, and your audience knows this, we have an open border, and we have pockets of Hamas that are here in this country, but we have now illegal Syrian refugees that are coming to this country. In Maryland, where I am, there's actually illegal Afghan refugees that are in Maryland, that are in Montgomery County. We have care in Montgomery County. We have care in Virginia. I mean, they're all over the place, and they're illegals. They're all illegals, and they overstay their visas.
I saw them. The videos of them coming in, they had like machine guns tattooed on their forearms from Afghanistan and other places like that. And they were just giving them plane tickets to go wherever they wanted to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Where to? New York, Chicago, wherever. They gave them tickets. Yeah,
illegals get treated better in this country than American citizens. And that's the sad
you
part.
show up, you get a hotel room, a cell phone, and housing.
You get ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Don't forget that too.
Yeah.
True.
So let me ask you, this is something that I don't think we got to last time, and I really wanted to ask because we touched on it a few times inadvertently, but Chuck Schumer, most of the folks in Hollywood, there seems to be a lot of people that you would think that are completely left. I mean, they're ultra liberal and they're Jewish, and they see what's happening, and it's like, I have a hard time understanding the thought process behind someone who is Jewish and liberal, realizing that the liberals are the ones that are attacking the Jews. I don't get it. Can you?
It's a
conundrum.
That's always the question. And again, people like Chuck Schumer, they are bond paid for. They're bond paid for by the special interests, by the lobbyists, by foreigners. They are paid for. But what's very interesting is there was an incident that happened with Alec Baldwin recently. He was actually attacked by pro-Hamas people because he said he wasn't far left enough. So it's just it's asinine. It's like if you come out and actually this happened with a Democratic lawmaker in Michigan who fully supports Israel. He condemns Hamas, and he had pro-Hamas people in front of his house at like 2:00 in the morning, honking the horn and harassing him because he wasn't far left enough, because he doesn't say that I hate the Jews. Because remember what Dr. Gay said. Remember what Dr. Gay, McGill, and Kornherger, whatever her name was, the other president of MIT, forgot her name. They all said it's okay to call for the genocide of Jews. It depends on the context. It's okay. So
it depends on the context. If you say it nicely, you can say that. If you just say it nicely, for real.
Right. But so at least Stefanik is like, so you're saying under oath, your testimony is unless they commit the act of genocide, it's okay to say, I call for the genocide of Jews. That's considered freedom of speech. That doesn't go against your Harvard Code of Conduct or your UPenn Code of Conduct. And they said it depends on the context. And Dr. Day said, it depends on the context if they're going against individuals. And Elise Stefanik says they are going after individuals. They're going after Jews. What more more do you like? It's right. It's written right there for you. Like it was crazy. And what's interesting is actually a lot of Democratic
These
lawmakers, they were upset about what the three presidents said. They actually, a lot of Democratic lawmakers were very upset about that. But again, the question is, if these Democratic lawmakers are unhappy with what Dr. Gay said and McGill and the lady at MIT, are they still going to vote Democrat? Why would they still continue voting Democrat? And that is the question. Why would Jewish people continue to vote Democrat when they see that the party does not represent them? That's one of the reasons
they don't care about them.
Trump. Yeah, that's
they have no standards.
Yeah, that's why I voted for Donald Trump, because I believe in voting for somebody that stands with me, that stands with Israel. As a Jewish person or as a person of faith, you should want somebody in office that cares about you, that cares about your religion, and that supports your biggest ally.
And won't turn on you.
Yeah,
he will not turn on you.
Yeah.
He went against everybody. Everybody told him not to recognize the Jerusalem and everybody.
Yeah, everyone told him not to move the embassy. Don't do it. It's bad for business. And he was like, and he's so cute. So he does the opposite because, first of all, he's a leader, not a follower. And number two, he's like, what? There's a reason. He's like, there is a motive why these Arab nations and so forth don't want me to move the embassy. And he did it knowing in the back of his mind that it was the right thing to do.
Sure. And they told him it could cause a world war and all kinds of things. And he's like, what's right is what's right. And this is what's happening. I don't care what you say. Exactly. And then when the Palestinians didn't want to negotiate.
Yeah. They said he was going to start a war with North Korea. The whole, all that crap. It's ridiculous.
Patriots, that was part one of my interview. And as you can tell just from that conversation, Alexandra is someone who feels very passionate about the things we spoke about her country, about the United States, about all of it, and a very conservative outlook and attitude, very healthy conservative outlook and attitude, and very, very intelligent. We need more people like her. We need more people like her. We need more people to rise up in the face of this anti-Semitic wave that we see sweeping the country that you never would have thought in a million years that you would see in the United States of America. And even if you saw it, you wouldn't figure that the people in power, those in authority, those teaching our youth would ever be on the side of an issue, one where people are calling for the extermination of a race of people, or standing by the people who advocate using rape as a weapon of war and then playing ignorant about it. People, we need to wake up. If you don't wake up, your country is not going to look the same in 20 years. Look how much it's changed in the last 10. They're fast tracking these things. Marxism is real and it's at our doorstep. And it's up to you and I to fight it. And that's what we have to do. That's what we're mandated to do. You want to save your country? Stand against the Marxist ideology. Stand against wokeism. Stand for individuality and accountability. Do your best to leave things better than when you found it. Find out who your congressman, who your senator is. Find out who they are. What your district. Find all of it out. Realize they work for you. Make sure they hear from you. Hell, make sure they know your name. And let them know that if they don't keep their promises, you're not voting for them next time. They will be replaced. We need to be more involved politically. We need to be more involved in our community. We need to be the kind of people, like Jordan Peterson says, that cleans their room, right? Take care of your backyard before you tell people how to take care of theirs. So get your stuff straight. Teach your kids to do the same. Pass on a living legacy to them that the woke culture in this United States can never take away. Teach your kids the truth. And teach them to value it above all else. And as usual, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent. and stand your ground. We'll see you next time on the Patriots Prayer Podcast. You guys have a great day.
If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is America.